Hi, it's Rochelle Bradley, and welcome to another Tuesday teaser. Today's teaser will be coming from book 4 in the Fortuna series. It's called Municipal Liaison, and I am going to read it to you. This snippet is going to be from actually the back of the book, and I'm going to read it to you. If you read More Than Fantasy, part of this is in the back, so you can read a little bit more around it. I'm going to give a little bit of a preface. So if you've read the Double D, Jason DeLay, the mayor of Fortuna, was introduced in book 1. He's in I don't know. He might be in book 2. I can't even remember. Isn't that horrible? He's mentioned at least where the bookshelf is. There's a bookshelf full of naughty books at the town hall where his office is located. And we're talking about, the ones with, bondage and, things like that. A little bit more naughty than a typical romance book. And anyway, they're located in City Hall, so everybody calls it the mayor's bookshelf, or the mayor's books. So Jason is the mayor, and Michaela, she's from Cincinnati, which is actually where I'm from. So we mentioned chili, the Cincinnati chili. She's not a chili maker. She's an urban developer, urban planner, and she's actually a renewalist. So she goes to different towns or businesses and helps them to just, if they have a building that needs kind of like a fresh look, a fresh take, she will, or the company she works for, they will both, she will write up an estimate, give it a fresh new look. What can they do to enhance the business and that kind of thing. So that's what she is. And she goes into Fortuna with her company. They were on assignment at Knockerville, and they stop at Fortuna on their way home, or way toward the airport. And she is walking around town and stuff. This is just a little preface. And Jason sees this group of people, and he's kind of curious. And Jason is a widower. He lost his wife a couple years before all this takes place, and so he's kind of been stuck in the mud. His tires turning, just going through the motions. And then he sees Michaela, and it's like he's very interested and curious about this group of people, but also he is stunned by her. So in this part, the group go to Hammered, and Jason follows them in. He's on his lunch break. And so I'm going to start reading. Also, Michaela's with a group of the IT gang, which is a bunch of guys, and her one friend, Kim. And so the guys are just obnoxious, and she wants to get away from them because she's been stuck in the van with them. And also, her ex-husband owns the company, and his name is Darren. So anyway, here we go. Municipal Liaisons, Book 4 in the Fortuna, Texas series. The restaurant's door opened, and Darren strode in, followed by Rodney. That's his PA. Michaela shrunk into the booth, holding her breath. The men spotted their group and started toward the table. But when Darren saw her sitting with another man, he changed direction. His brow rose, and his patented deal-closing smile appeared. Darren attempted to slide in next to her, but Michaela wouldn't budge. He balanced precariously on the edge of the seat. Across the room, Michaela caught Kim's attention. Kim rolled her eyes, then pretended to yawn as Rodney and Chase carried on a lively discussion next to her. "I'm Darren Arshvik, Mick's husband," he said, holding out his hand to shake Jason's. Ex-husband. Michaela frowned and crossed her arms. She hated it when Darren claimed her, especially after he had neglected her during their marriage. Jason's gaze jumped from Darren to Michaela. "So what's good to eat here?" Darren asked, glancing toward the bar. "Nothing," Michaela said, giving Darren's shoulder a shove. "Jason and I were just going somewhere else." She shoved again, and frowning, Darren stood. Michaela scooted out of the booth and pushed past Darren with her nose in the air. She had intended to abandon Kim and threw her friend an apologetic smile. Jason stood and opened his wallet. He threw a $5 on the table and followed Michaela out of Hammered and into the sunlight and fresh air. She inhaled deeply. "I'm sorry. I hope you don't mind," she asked. "It's okay." Jason glanced up the street and pointed. "I know a place with great food. It's a food truck of sorts." "Of sorts, huh?" She fell into step with his long strides as they headed away from Fortuna Central Square. "It's more of a wagon." He glanced at her. "You'll see." They walked in companionable silence as she inspected the different Main Street buildings. They passed the steps leading up to the town hall. "Darren wanted to meet with the mayor today. A woman told us he isn't in this afternoon. I thought I might talk with him before Darren. Do you know him?" Jason caught his toe on the sidewalk and stumbled a few steps. "Me? Yeah, sure, I know him." "Do you think he would be open to an outside consulting firm cold calling him?" "I suppose," Jason said, rubbing his chin. If she could get inside information before her ex, she'd really make him irate. Michaela smirked. "What's the mayor like?" "He's a hot young thing." Michaela turned toward a skinny old woman with a cap of dark hair and an ornery grin. Jason covered his face with his palm. "He's young," Michaela asked. Her father could be considered young compared to the woman. "And hot," the lady reiterated, wiggling her eyebrows. "What's he like?" asked Michaela, trying to stymie a giggle. "He's single." The woman fanned herself. "Desire Hardman, let me introduce you to Michaela Arshvik," Jason said. "Nice to meet you, Michaela. So why are you interested in the mayor?" Michaela sighed, glancing behind Desire to where Darren poked his head out of the restaurant. Thank God they were far enough away that he couldn't hear the conversation. Jason and Mick shared a look before she answered. "I'd like to meet him." Desire's gaze jumped to Jason's and then back. "Okay," the old woman shook her head. "Haven't you met him?" "No, she hasn't," Jason said, then hastily continued. "We're walking down to Hamish's wagon for lunch. Would you like to join us?" "Oh, that sounds heavenly. I haven't had Hamish's Wiener Schnitzel in a long time." So there's your Tuesday teaser. It goes on. Desire follows them down, and they bump into Brad and Jesse waiting in line to have a wiener. Yeah, you'll get a couple giggles out of that one. You know how Desire is. So if you want to read more, there's a couple more pages in the back of More Than a Fantasy, that if you want to get a little taste of Jason and Michaela's romance. Also, Jason is part of the Fortuna Dare Society, which is the men's book club. So I hope you enjoyed today's Tuesday teaser. If you would like to get other Tuesday teasers, please subscribe. Hit the little bell. Here's a fun fact for you. The title of book four, Municipal Liaisons, is also something to do with NaNoWriMo. So if you've heard of or you're involved with National Novel Writing Month, which happens every November, it's where writers, anyone, professional or just wannabe, anybody who wants to write, also children, they have a young writers program. You can write, your goal is to write 50,000 words in 30 days. So there are it's an international. It's an international organization. It's also a nonprofit, and they really do help fund creativity. So it's a good cause if you have spare money and you want to donate. Also, they have regions. So I live in Ohio, and there's several different regions in Ohio. There's a Cincinnati region, Columbus, all the big cities, Dayton, Toledo. There's also like Ohio elsewhere, those small, in between areas. There's a couple other regions that are in between areas. Anyway, over the regions are volunteers who are called Municipal Liaisons. Technically, right now, I am a volunteer. I am a municipal liaison for the Dayton region. So I encourage others to write. That's what I do, and I love it. I love NaNoWriMo. All of my stories, every single one of my Fortuna stories, came out of a November NaNoWriMo, the National Novel Writing Month. So I just wanted to let you know it's a fun fact, kind of a fun play on words, because all the naughty books are, I keep holding this one up, but it's not this one. I should be like, ta-da, back the book. All of my Fortuna stories were children. I gave birth to them during the month of November. Didn't necessarily finish them during the month of November, but they were definitely started, got 50,000 words into it. So it's a fun fact. And, book 4 happens in a municipal, the setting, Jason's office. He works at the municipal building, and, they have a relationship. So, it's a liaison there. So anyway, I just thought it was funny. So it's just a fun fact for you. Have a great week.